In this video, I'm going to show you the ins and outs of connecting this Ferrofish 4000 to MIDI keyboards. So I have my big CP88 and I also have a little keyboard. So I'm going to show you how to do split keyboards, and I'm also going to show you how to do multiple MIDI channels to do 2 or 3 keyboards. So here you go. So to set a split keyboard, you're going to need to go into the MIDI settings. So hold setup, and then the first screen you see is the MIDI. So you'll have MIDI A and B. So this is on the back here. And what you'll see is the channels. So the MIDI channels, if they're all different, then usually by default, whatever keyboard you're plugged in is going to send through channel 1. So like my CP88 by default sends through channel 1. So if I just have that, it's just going to play the upper. Right? It's just going to play that upper manual. Now, if you want to split it, you need to set both whatever manuals you want to split between. So let's say I do want to split upper and lower. I need to set them to the same MIDI channel. So right now the lower's on 2. Let's change that to 1. And you'll see down here at the split, this upper, between upper and lower split is at C4. See that? It splits right there. And then if you want to, again, if you want to split the area between pedal and lower, set it to the same channel. And then I have it here is to split at C3. So like middle C. So that's how you would split. And then the other thing you can do, go to this other octave. So say you want the effect of having 2 manuals where you're playing the same notes over the top of each other. So that's what you would do here. If, like, say I want the lower and the upper manual, I want to play the same notes. So let's bump this lower manual up. So this would be like middle C and then above middle C. You see that you can play the same exact notes in both manuals. Here's upper manual, here's middle manual. So that's how you'd kind of get that effect. Let's look at how we can use multiple keyboards to connect to this. So there's only 2 MIDI in jacks in the back, but you can even connect up to 3 keyboards. So let's see how we do that. So hold setup, and I plugged it into input B. So let's skip to B. And what I've done here is if I set them to all different MIDI channels, right? If you set them to the same channel, it's going to split the keyboard like we saw before. All different. So I'm going to do upper on channel 1, lower on channel 3, and the pedal on channel 2. Okay, so what I have done here, I've set up I have a key step, and I've put MIDI from this going out to the Ferrofish. I also have my CP88, and I have the MIDI out going into my key step. Now the key step, this in is a MIDI through. So whatever channel I have, so this is MIDI 1 coming out of this keyboard or my big piano, going into the key step, and then that'll pass it on to the final destination through the out, which is into the Ferrofish. Now this key step has a cool features. I can switch between different MIDI channels. So it has up to 16 MIDI channels, and by pressing shift, this is 1, 2, 3, and I can play the different MIDI channels. So let's do 1. Right, it's the same. It's playing on that upper manual between both keyboards. Okay, and then I could do channel 2, which was the pedal. Okay, and pedal doesn't go this high, but... Okay, and then I could do channel 3. Okay, and so what that allows us to do is I could play manual 1 and manual 2 at the same time now. And that's generally what you would do. If I had another keyboard, then I could just split that. But you're going to need some way to split the MIDI. If you just get a splitter, that's not going to work. I tried that, it didn't work. You need something that'll pass the messages on into one MIDI like feed. I don't know how that works, But when I did just a splitter and I tried to just split two keyboards and then split it into one, it didn't work. The Ferrofish just chose a channel, maybe with the one that was plugged in first. So you're going to need something that either through, like you daisy chain them, plug your keyboards into each other and then do a MIDI through, something like that, or maybe some other MIDI device that you can plug multiple MIDIs in and then it'll output one MIDI signal to the Ferrofish. So that's how you do that. You can connect up to 3 keyboards even though you have only 2 MIDI inputs. You can use 2, or you could even just use 1, just do everything on different MIDI channels. And again, just to remind you, if you do the same MIDI channel, that's going to split the keyboard wherever you set the split points.